Salut à tous, donc aujourd'hui je suis ici à San Jose, à l'AKA, avec Javier Mendez, donc le fondateur de l'AKA et coach de cette superbe académie. Thank you very much, Javier, for this interview.
No problem, no problem.
So Javier, we would like to know about your beautiful history of the American Kickboxing Academy. You are a former champion, kickboxing champion, and also you built very good champions here in this academy. Can you talk about this history?
Well, basically, you know, I started fighting in 1985, and I was a real estate agent during that time when I started fighting, and I really couldn't do a full-time job and fight and pursue my, you know, my dream of becoming the best I could be at kickboxing. So I ended up taking odd jobs, and I started teaching on the side with some friends of mine, you know, and so I started teaching them kickboxing, and little by little, you know, I started to get more students wanting to come to learn from me. And as time went on, one of my instructors, who was Scott Coker, who was the owner of Strikeforce, and now he's the president of Bellator, he had a gym that he wanted to know if I wanted to use, you know, part-time, and while he wasn't using it, so he allowed me to use his gym. And then from there, you know, we started growing even more. And then Scott Coker grew his gym, so he moved down and he wanted to know if I wanted to take over his gym, little gym. And I said, sure, so I took over his gym. And as a result of that, my gym grew really quick within a short period of time. And when the lease was up, I mean, I had so many students that I decided to upgrade and move to a bigger location. So I started moving to one location after another. As a result of me fighting, I came across fighters or aspiring fighters that wanted to do the same thing. They wanted to pursue their goals, and one of them was Brian Johnston. And Brian Johnston, basically, you know, he wanted to know, you know, if I felt he could do the UFC. This is when they just barely came out back in '95 was when Brian asked me, because the UFC has only been out like 2 years. It was out in '93, and I said, yeah, well, you know, I know Art Davey, you know, through the kickboxing, getting Jerome Turcan on there, and you know, Jean-Claude Loyer, you know, so, you know, the two French guys actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got them both in the K1 USA, and as a result of that, I met Art Davey. So I basically talked to him about, you know, Brian Johnston, and so he basically, you know, took on Brian, and as a result of Brian being in the UFC, he met Frank Shamrock. And as a result of Frank Shamrock being involved, you know, in the UFC, Frank Shamrock moved to San Jose. And because of the introduction of Brian Johnston, I basically was able to meet Frank. And then Frank came to my gym when he moved to San Jose, and then I became Frank's coach. And of course, he was the first, you know, complete MMA fighter, you know, and MMA, you know, and in the UFC. So he was the first middleweight champion for them, and he was the first complete fighter in MMA. And as a result of Frank, BJ Penn came to me. And, you know, from there, you know, BJ, you know, did what he did. Then he moved back to Hawaii after he fought Jens Pulver the first time and lost. But then BJ was homesick, so he went home. But as a result of all this, it started building. So a lot of fighters were coming around, and, you know, people like John Fitch, Josh Koscheck, you know, Mike Swick, you know, they all started training. And then as a result of that, people like Cain Velasquez started coming, Daniel Cormier, Luke Rockhold, Josh Thompson, you know, Habib Nurmagomedov, you know. So there was a lot of fighters that kept coming as a result of other fighters.
Mm-hmm. As a coach, what is already your best memory?
Well, for me, it's weird. Most people think, well, you know, my best memory would be like when Cain won the title or something like that. But no, my best, for me, it's always the fact that we're still a team. We're still together. We are the longest team in the history of MMA that's still there, that's still strong. I don't think you can find another team that's been around as long as we have. And that's my proudest moment, the fact that we're still a team, we're still stronger than ever.
And what are your next goal? Is your goal is to expand the team or to get again better results?
We're always looking to expand the team. People are always welcome to come and try out with the team anytime. They just call myself up or Bob Cook or email us, and then we'll let them come in, try out. They make the team great, and then we proceeded from there. But the goal is, for me, I have a potential 4 UFC champions coming up. Daniel Cormier's fighting John Jones January 3rd. I think Luke Rockhold, once he beats Michael Bisping, is going to be really close to a title shot. And Khabib, he's close to a title shot because he's number 2 right now in the UFC. So I believe that Gilbert Melendez is number 1, Khabib's number 2. So I think that Khabib's going to be up for a title shot too. So there's potentially, if Cain's going to retain his title with Fabricio November 15th. So then we got 3 more potential title shots in the year 2015, and I believe we have a very good chance to win.
Yeah, so we wish good luck for the team to get all these good results. And thank you very much for this interview for Global MMA.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.